Hi everyone, welcome back to Film Valor. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you for the comments and views on our last video. It was it's a controversial topic, but it got people talking, and it's something that that needs to be talked about, especially in the entertainment and film industry. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. That's in the comment section below. We'll have a link for it. Today we have another good episode, a little bit, I guess, controversial as well, but also need to be talked about.
Yes.
Recently, Tom Cruise, is not going to be playing Jack Reacher. The creator, Lee Child, said that Tom Cruise lacks the physical capability, especially in his weight and his build.
His height, yeah. That was a pretty insulting little thing, and it was kind of like, they made the two movies, and now they're going to do a television series that Cruise probably wouldn't do anyway. But the point was this: it's like, he like took him down a notch for no reason, and Tom Cruise is a talented actor, and it brought us up to obviously the biggest box office in the world. You know what I mean? One of the biggest, if not the biggest. And it made us think about a couple of situations where stars or actors, performers who have really established themselves, have been taken down by their body or who they are. And there's a trend nowadays with people that, especially in the case of what happened recently with Scarlett Johansson, that she was not really a transgender person, but she couldn't play a transgender role.
Right. The audience pretty much petitioned her.
Yeah, they were like, we don't want this, and it was not only the transgender community, but then also people outside of that who were also for that. We don't agree with that, and that was one of the things we wanted to bring up to today. There's this definite trend of people going for the reality of something, which does not make sense when you factor in the fact that movies are an illusion. They're not for real, and they're ultimately made to sell tickets. It's the creative, but it's also to make money. And someone like Scarlett Johansson was interested in telling a movie or telling a story about a transgender person, and was going to use her platform to do that. So I feel we shouldn't be censoring. We both feel we shouldn't be censoring that person or telling her no, or forcing her to quit because, oh, that's bad and how dare her do that, or take a role from a transgender person. Listen, guys, the reality is this, okay? You can count how many stars in Hollywood can really help you get a couple million to several million dollar budgets, okay? The problem might be representation. Sure, that's a different thing, which is people with, people with disabilities or transgender people who are, we can say, marginalized, whatever else, who could actually draw box office numbers. But that's not Scarlett Johansson's fault. I mean, that might be the fault of the system. But we shouldn't be taking away her opportunity because she wants to tell a story about a transgender person, which ultimately would help that community, I believe. So that's one of the things. That's the other thing that we really want to get into today.
It's kind of a double-edged sword if you look at it. If people find that Scarlett Johansson, as a straight woman, shouldn't be playing a transgender role, wouldn't the same thing be said that a transgender can't play a straight role?
Right.
Because if you're going by that logic, that this person is not really who they are portraying, then
all of acting stops.
All of acting. If you for every actor who's put on a great performance playing something that they're not. I mean, if we went by that logic of they have to be this person or that person, film would be dead.
Yeah, there'd
be no challenge. There'd be no wanting to portray, because that's what they're doing. They're acting.
Right.
They're portraying something that they're not. It's the illusion. It's the imagination. It's like playing dress up.
Right.
Either are you really Spider-Man when you were a kid, and you put the costume on? Were you really do you really have webs coming out of your fingers?
Right.
No.
Right.
You made believe. You just made it up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's where it stems from. That's what the filmmaking and theater and pretty much any art is. You don't have to live it for it to make sense. You don't have to...
And now, how many times we also have to consider too, right? How many people may have had a project like Scarlett Johansson's, you know, and then said to themselves, "Oh, I better not do that,"
right,
because etc. So listen to this problem now, right? If you're a transgender person and you're looking for representation in terms of transgender people, listen, let's be honest. How many transgender people are box office draws? Okay, it's just not a thing nowadays. Maybe it will be soon. We hope. You know, representation's good. You know, it's like the same problem that there was with gay actors being openly gay in Hollywood, and you know that's melted away now. But it was the same problem. You know, they couldn't be. So, you know, until there's a day where that representation is actually there, we shouldn't be stealing away opportunities from people who could use their platform to further that message. And that's the door that's been closed now. And it doesn't make sense to do that to people who are, in a lot of ways, innocent bystanders who are just trying to tell a story.
And it's not just about transgenderism. It's race, skin color. I mean,
so many other things.
Take it for instance, if I was an actor and I was always getting the roles of, let's say, an Indian guy or a Hispanic guy, you know, eventually I would say to myself as an actor, like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I always getting casted as, you know, the Hispanic guy or the Indian guy or the Middle Eastern guy? I mean, I would want to quit acting because that would be my legacy as known as just playing that role.
Right.
It'd be cool, like, you know, I think even weren't they even teasing, like, James Bond, Idris Elba?
Yeah, they were talking about that.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, if you want to do that, fine, do that. I mean, he's still a big name actor, whatever. You know, Daniel Craig doesn't want to do it anymore. So yeah, if you want to do that, fine. I mean, but that gives him, that's another opportunity for him. Plus, he's an English actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you know that's one thing they got. That's one thing. He's an English actor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
You could be black. You could be brown. You could be white. You could be Asian. Yeah. I mean, and that's a thing. It's the illusion. It's the thing that you want. You know, a sense of variety.
And I think this goes back to a point that we were talking about a little bit before too, is that ultimately the audience, or let's just say groups of people on social media, don't decide these things for reasons, because the fact that they only represent a small portion of society.
Right.
You know, and if you're trying to market, you're batting for the fences. You know, you're trying to market to everybody. You know, that's the point. You know, if you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars, you want millions and millions and millions of dollars plus back. You know, so you have to have the widest audience. You know, so that's why usually groups that are marginalized, etc., have a difficult time, because the whole of society doesn't necessarily want to see something about that or want to do that. And that's not us saying it; it's just the reality of the situation. You know, it's the way that Hollywood is, at least up until this point. You know, and it could change, but that's one of the things that we just wanted to talk about today, is that, you know, we shouldn't be limiting people into what they can do only by who they are, because otherwise you're destroying the art form of acting, you know, and what being a performer really is. It would be like saying you can't make a film about transgender people or about gay people if you're not gay, if you're not transgender. You can't make a movie about African American issues if you're not African American. It's the same thing. I mean, that's where this is going in a lot of ways, you know, and then you won't have those stories sometimes, you know. You'll be wiping off the plate, you know. Those messages might just be gone because those groups that want to be represented might not have the, you know, the ability, you know, especially disabled, you know, the disabled group and realm, you know, that whole thing is a challenge, because, you know, they want more people who are disabled to be represented, but at the same time, you know, it is so much about money and box office and everything else that, you know, everything has its checks and balances to it.
Yeah, a little bit more about, I guess, Tom Cruise. Like, how do you feel that, you know, I guess Lee Child said that he didn't mind, he said he was good for the role. He said he liked him in the 2 films and whatnot.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was, like, unnecessary. He was just, like, you know, his physicality wasn't good anyway. He was too small, basically.
Yeah, and that's another thing we want to talk about is because there is a correlation. I mean, there are a lot of actors who you think are about, like, 6'3", whatever, yada yada, turn out to be kind of short guys.
They're short,
you know, and that's the whole thing about the illusion aspect that we're talking about. I mean, yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at one of the behind the scenes footage of Iron Man, he's walking on a platform when he's talking with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
And she's a tall woman, and so they had to put him up on a, you know, good box, you know.
Right.
I mean, and also you look at Sylvester Stallone, not a tall guy,
Yeah.
but he played Rambo, you know. And, you know, when he did Rocky, he was always against, you know, tall people.
Right.
You know, so you didn't really have to give it that much,
right.
Because, you know, just it actually showed the scale even more.
So the actor's body should not limit the role. The body, the physical body, at the very least, should not limit their ability to play a role.
No,
you know,
exactly.
especially their height,
yeah, exactly.
you know, and everything else. And so that comment, I think, from specifically about Tom Cruise, who's one of the biggest box office draws in the world, seemed like one of those things that's almost in the same realm, which is like, okay, wait a second. Like, we're going there now, too, which is like, and we've seen that, where people, you know, he's not tall enough, he's not this enough, he's not that enough. Well, listen, we've been doing that for how many years in Hollywood, and you go for the performance.
Everybody buys it.
Yeah.
They buy that, you know,
you go for the
taller, bigger, or whatever. It's almost like a balance of bringing something new to the table, but not fixing what's not broken.
Right.
You know?
And you know, that whole thing already is that these people have built to a certain level, they built to a certain thing. You know, so we shouldn't be saying, oh, we have to get a different version. You know, we have to get the real thing and everything else. Well, I mean, you probably won't have that movie be made then. And that's one of those things that we always try to preach to, is that, you know, if you want a transgender movie with people who are really transgender starring in it, I mean, you have to go out and make your own movie. You know, that's the thing that we you know, we have a lot of filmmakers who follow us and talk to us and everything else. That's one of the things that we preach, you know. Go out and make your own movie about that and do that. You know, and do it in a way that, you know, you care about, and don't compromise, but also don't expect anybody else to compromise for that as well. You know, that's what you care about, and other people will care if you do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there is a level of understanding that you can't make everyone happy.
Right, you can't, no matter what it is.
Right, but the only thing you can control is what you want to say and where you want to go with
right.
it. And so many people, and I think that's the thing that's kind of, I don't want to use the word threatening. If I could find something else I could, like, similar, that is actually hurting, I think, maybe some of the, you know, the film industry, is that a lot of filmmakers are getting turned off to things because they, you know, they don't want to be ridiculed or put in that situation of, like, now I'm going to be labeled as this, or you know, now I'm gonna, you know, every movie I do, people are gonna think that I have this intention in mind.
Right.
You know, and the thing is, there is no right and wrong way of making your film. It's your film. You put the time, you put the money, you got the people together, and you and only your team know
what
the real intention.
Yeah, and what your real intentions are. Right.
And to get turned off by an audience who probably, you know, they honestly probably couldn't care less.
Right.
Of, you know, who you are. They probably don't even know who you are at sometimes, and they just want to get you off because they heard it. This, you know, this one thing that got them upset. And for you to, for any filmmaker to just, you know, to buy into that, you know, that's kind of scary. Because I want to be around filmmakers who you know, who push the boundaries a little bit, or just have a new take on something. Something that's interesting, something to keep that interest momentum going. And I think if we lose that, then, you know, it'll be just a boring job once again. Is that you're going to have to...
you lose your sense of why you're doing anything anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's really the reality.
Hey guys, well, thanks again for watching. You know, if you like this episode, leave a like, give it a subscribe. Leave us a comment down below. It's a pretty controversial topic, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. But, you know, talking about things and, you know, talking about, you know, the problems in filmmaking and entertainment today is something that needs to be addressed and done. So we really appreciate your comments, your support, and anything else, Jameson?
We'll see you next time. So stay tuned to Film Valor.
Take care.